Hey, what's up, you guys? It's IAmTheLionRider, and welcome back to another riveting episode of Ocean State Zoo. So this is picking up right where we left off on our Zoo Sims United map, and I am basically gonna be cranking out habitats left and right now, because as I kind of mentioned in my last two videos, the only way that you were able to start trading was by getting at least 50% of all of your species on exhibit that you requested. So I basically just tried to mass produce different habitats for a lot of my smaller animals, at least, just so I could start, buying stuff from the shop. And actually, recently there was an auction, so I was actually able to get some stuff that I'll talk about a little bit later on from the auction. So today we are going to be doing technically 2 habitats, but I'd almost argue it's kind of 3 habitats because of what I'm doing right now. So what I am actually working on is my bobcat habitat. So I actually have a breeding pair of 2 bobcats. I have a male and a female, and their names are Logan and Bastet. So you might be like, why did you name it Logan? I don't know, I just really like Wolverine. And I get it, it makes no sense, it's a bobcat, not a Wolverine, but I was like, I like the name Logan. Logan is the name of the male, and then I was like, okay, I need a good name for a female. And for some reason, I like the idea of having it named after... I've been on this, god kick lately. I don't know. You might have seen, I named my golden eagle Athena. But I decided I would name my female Bastet. So that is actually named after the Egyptian god of cats. So I thought that was a nice little name. So I like them. They're cats, so that makes sense. And for their habitat, you might be seeing that I am kind of going a bit crazy. And that's because I was really inspired by ripping off Buttonwood Zoo, which is another zoo in New Bedford, Massachusetts, that is close to me, that they technically do have bobcats. So I combined basically their bobcat enclosure and their lynx enclosure, which has this kind of pass-through for the lynx to go between. And I really liked it, so I kind of adopted it for my own zoo. And I think it looks really, really cool. And I wanted to just make sure that, they had plenty of room. And the other thing is, since they are a breeding pair, Zoo Sims United actually kind of gives you a slight boost for breeding if you have a separate enclosure specifically for breeding. So I like the idea that they have 2 enclosures so that if you want to keep them separate, you can keep them separate. But when you want them connected, you can just open up a door and then let them, interact with each other. And I thought that was a really cool idea. I like that in a lot of zoos, and like I said, Buttonwood does it, San Diego does it. I was like, cool, so let's do it. So that is kind of the inspiration for the bobcat habitat. And I think it'll turn out pretty well. So I guess we can kind of talk about a lot of the other things that have been happening behind the scenes related to Zoo Sims United since my last episode. So I actually gotta say, before I even got to the habitats, I was generously donated by Seth, a pretty prevalent community member, 2 of his dromedary camels. So before I even built the dromedary camel enclosure, I was already gifted 2 dromedary camels from Seth. So they will be joining my male and 1 other female, and now I have a male and 3 females. So I have a whole mini herd of dromedary camels, so that'll be really exciting. Similarly, I actually got a lot of other things. So today was the very first auction for Zoo Sims United since I've been part of the group, and it was definitely a blast. Literally, I said the next time they do an auction, which they do kind of not on a schedule or anything, it's kind of infrequent. It's like a really big special event type deal. And they seem to do it roughly once a season. And you could tell because it was very chaotic. Basically, auctions are when Zoo Sims United give out some of the bigger ticket animals that people would be more inclined to want to buy. So instead of going to the store like you do pretty much once a week, where you might get, some, lemurs or maybe like a bird or something for 1 token, auctions are where you save up a lot of tokens and you can get some really cool animals. So today was definitely interesting because the auction prices, you could tell that people were saving up a lot, because the stuff on for sale today was stuff like giraffes and hippos and Barbaroussa and Andean bear. A lot of really cool big animals. They had a breeding pair of tigers, which was really cool. And yeah, people were shelling out, like, I think the highest bid was like 30-something tokens, like 32 tokens or something. And a lot of stuff, like the giraffe was like 28, the hippo went for like 23. There was one person that was actually gifted. He bought a collection of 45 greater flamingos, which we were like, what? How do you do that? Like, I mean, flamingos, like, flamingo flocks are really common to be in large groups, but like 45 was like insane. And he got a pretty good deal on it. I think it was only like 20 tokens that he paid for it. So when you consider that, it's like 20 tokens for 45 flamingos. That's incredible, because that's basically guaranteeing a permanent, you know, collection of flamingos at your zoo. And the amount of money that he could probably make off of the breeding, because everyone wants flamingos. And so from breeding, he's able to probably like make a bunch of bank off of trades and stuff with those baby flamingos. So that was probably a really worthwhile investment. So why do I mention all this? Because like I said, auction's very exciting. The next one they do, I want to live stream, because it was such a crazy experience. I had Leaf and I and all my friends in a big call, and we were all just like watching this happen, and it was definitely crazy. It was very, very exciting, and I haven't felt that really from like the Planet Zoo community from an event in a long time. So that was really cool. And needless to say, I actually walked out with something from the auction. So even though I'm kind of a brand new zoo and not a lot of the newer zoos could afford a lot of these bigger animals, I was actually able to get away with some decent, you know, animals. So what I was eyeballing myself was I was really trying to go for some sea lions. So I wanted to get some northern fur seals for our zoo, or I was going to take California sea lion if that was an option. I bet on both, lost both, but luckily my good buddy Crocs, who has been doing Zoo Sims United for a bit longer than I have, actually was able to snag the northern fur seals. So at least a friend of mine has them, and so that was at least a good thing. So who knows, you know, maybe in the future, if Crocs is generous, we could eventually get some northern fur seals in Ocean State, which would be really exciting. Mostly because I just want to kind of expand this into almost like a Mystic-esque zoo aquarium hybrid, which would be cool. And so what I actually got was 8 gray kangaroos, which again, it doesn't sound that crazy, but the reason I bet on them was it was a pretty cheap price. I think I only paid about 8 tokens, and I got 8 gray kangaroos out of it. I got, I think, 3 males, 5 females, and that is an excellent purchase, because otherwise I didn't know what to do with the emu that I bought. So my emu was one of my starter animals, and even though we haven't built the habitat for it, I didn't know what to do for a habitat, because I was like, I don't want just like a standalone emu habitat. That's not a good thing. But if it's a emu and kangaroo hybrid habitat, that's a bit more enticing to me. So I like that idea. So now that we have all of these kangaroos, and probably, you know, a ton of breeding kangaroos, that'll be really exciting. So now we kind of have a permanent Australia section that I can justify. So that kind of talks about the auction. I can kind of swap back over to the habitat right now. So what I am actually working on is kind of making both habitats kind of similar by having both of these like shelters that, like I said, I kind of ripped off directly from the Bobcat enclosures at Buttonwood. And I just wanted to make sure that both habitats could stand on their own as like individual habitats, but connected up would be really good. So the next thing that I am kind of working on is for the next animal, which is my porcupine. So I actually have a North American porcupine, and I love the name I chose for him. His name is Pukwudgie, which is actually like a Native American, I don't know if it's like a creature or like a depiction, but it's often like kind of like a porcupine depiction of a Native American. The main reason I know about it is because in Harry Potter there's like a North American school, like, rival to Hogwarts that basically has a house called Puckwudgie. And that was kind of an idea. And I really like the name for it because it's such a stupid word. It's just Puckwudgie. What does that even mean? And so I really like the idea, and so I gave him a big boy habitat. I gave him, for a single porcupine, a rather large habitat, and so I actually think it turned out pretty good. So from there, I think, I basically used a pre-built aviary off the workshop, and then I didn't quite like how the mesh was working, so I basically did some custom mesh and just kind of covered up the top and stuff. And I think that was, I did a pretty good job. So once you're able to basically do just one small portion of it, I was able to then copy it around the 8 individual sides and stuff to get it to look right. So, yeah, I'm probably going to be doing that for a bit. So I guess we can talk about some other stuff, because like I said, I have a lot of news when it comes to Zoo Sims United, and I just want to get it all out there. So one of the other things that has happened recently was I actually had my very first event happen. So I was actually, I requested an event, which would be some kind of random generated artificial story that, would apply to my zoo. And so what happened was we were actually, story-wise, contacted by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. Myself, Leaf, and Woody Woods Park were all contacted that the 3 of our zoos were gifted a bunch of different animals that were they were basically rescues. So there were 2 bald eagles, a teal, a gray seal, and a whooping crane. And we were told amongst ourselves we had to just basically figure out which animals each of us wanted. So Leaf said he wasn't going to be picky or whatever. He just wanted the teal. So that was easy. That was cool. And then Woody was like, I'll take whatever. So I was like, okay, tell you what. I already have a seal habitat because we built it last time. I'll take the seal, and I already have an eagle habitat. So how about I take one of the eagles, you can have one of the other eagles, and then you can have the crane. So we have technically a brand new bald eagle that will be joining Athena in the eagle habitat, still yet to be named. It is a female as well, so that is exciting. And we have another male seal that will be joining Milo and Orwell in the seal pool, but this one's a gray seal, so also doesn't have a name yet. So if anyone has any suggestions for names for the seal or eagle, let me know. But that is really exciting, so probably I'll include those at the end of this episode, and we can, kind of look at all of the brand new animals that have been added, and that'll be really, really exciting. But like I said, we have a lot of stuff that we did in today's episode. We got the porcupine in, we got the bobcats in, and I did a little bit of touch-up around the surrounding area. So I wanted to get some basic, terraforming and stuff like that done. And I even started doing a little bit of work around the area to kind of make it look more like an actual zoo. So I actually added some basic signage and a little bit of fencing and stuff just to kind of start fleshing out the area. But with that being said, thank you all for watching. You can see all of the animals in their brand new habitat here. And I will see you guys next time, where we will kind of be diving into a brand new exhibit. That was also a little idea of what we may be doing next time. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoy Ocean State Zoo, and I will see you guys next time.